Hello, my name's Ben.
And my name's Josh.
Back to FPL graduates, and welcome back to another game week preview. It's been a while, but it's been an action-packed couple of days, hasn't it?
Yeah, loads of decisions to make. It's almost like everyone's forgot about FPL and then like, I've got to get back to my team. Loads of transfer decisions to make. For me, not so much. I'm sort of playing it cool out here. How are you doing, Ben, with your transfers?
Stressful. I've got a couple of decisions that I want to make, potentially either using my free transfer or taking a hit, a -4 for a player, and you'll see who that is very, very soon. But yeah, it's been an interesting dilemma, and probably one I'm going to ask the chat and see what their thoughts are on it.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. As always, guys, make sure you get your questions in the comments. We'll definitely get through a load of them. But first of all, we'll go through our team, show us who we've got this game week and what our thoughts are. And then, yeah, we'll get around to the questions at the end. So don't think we're going to forget about you. We always get around to them. Don't you worry. So, Ben, do you want to get your team up and then we'll go for it, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it. Give me a second. So this is what my team is looking like for this game week as it stands. It will definitely change, I think. The plan is to at least use one free transfer. Let's see how we go from there. So in goal, I've got Guaita. I think it's going to be a sticky one for a lot of people this week with the goalkeeper decisions. We obviously know Ramsdale is he going to play? Is he not? So a few people are probably going to play Foster. I would recommend if you have Ramsdale to play him. Arsenal aren't playing until Monday night, so there's a lot of time for things to change. And it didn't sound like Ramsdale's too far off anyway. So I'd recommend sort of playing him. In a defence at the moment, we've got Cancelo, Dawson, Rudiger and Trent. I'm quite happy with that at the moment, but there's one other guy that I want to get in. In the midfield, we've got Kulusevski, Saka, Salah and Barnes. Salah obviously on the captaincy. I think he's key to captain this week. And vice is Harry Kane up front with Ollie Watkins. Now, my dilemma is basically I'm getting rid of Jimenez this week. And who for is the big question. It could be Weghorst and a simple one free transfer and forget about it. Don't have to worry about it. Weghorst has a double game week this week. Yes, granted, it's Manchester City in the first one, but it's an extra 2 points for that game against Everton. Or I could take a -4. I could transfer out Jimenez and Kilman, and for the exact money, I can get in Reece James and Pookie. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, Pookie, what's he on about? Over the last 5 game week, he is massively outperforming Weghorst in all metrics going forwards, which is why I'm leaning towards him. And with a couple of decent fixtures as well. If I was looking at Fantasy Football Hub and their statistics, and I was looking at the defensive capabilities of both Everton and of Brighton, who Norwich have. And I'm sort of swaying towards the fact that, Brighton, they're not too great defensively. So that's my thought process. And also, will Pookie be on penalties potentially? So yeah, that's a dilemma I've got right now. Is it worth taking a -4 to bring in Reece James and Timu Pookie? It'd obviously mean in my team, I'd probably end up benching Dawson and potentially Barnes or Watkins. One of those guys or 2 of the 3 will be benched. So Josh, I want to get your thoughts first on my team and, what you think I should do in my situation. Is it worth, in this case, taking a -4, knowing that, yes, Reece James is going to be in the squad, but is he going to get the minutes this week?
Yeah, it's a tough one because if Reece James was fit and you knew he was going to play 90 minutes, you'd definitely do it. But obviously, we don't know that quite yet. Obviously, Chelsea have their doubles, potentially a triple. Obviously, it's not quite certain, but they've got a lot of games to play. So obviously, long term, it's definitely going to be worth it if James can stay fit. And that's another issue you've got to think about: is he going to stay fit for a long time? Because we saw last time he came back for that one game against Burnley, got injured again, back out of the team. Like, it just weren't ideal. And obviously, he has that absolute ludicrous ceiling of just getting X amount of points every game week. We saw it against Burnley, scoring a goal, getting an assist. Saw it against Newcastle when he scored twice as well. So he has that potential, but I wouldn't say you're in a bad position in terms of Chelsea defenders. You've got Rudiger. He's probably the second best option. So yeah, it is tough. I quite like the Pookie shout. He's on penalties. If Norwich score, he's going to score. And I think they definitely could against a Brighton defence, like you said, that have been quite poor since we've seen Dan Burn leave, especially in January. So yeah, it's been interesting. Weghorst, he doesn't excite me, to be honest. We've seen him. You know, that ship sort of sailed for me. I don't know if I would bring in Weghorst if I was bringing someone in this week. But again, you're picking from slim pickings, aren't you, with that striker spot? So maybe even Antonio, I think, is a good shout.
Yeah, for me, it's a decision that is not a long-term decision. I'm deciding who I want for the next 2 game weeks at a maximum, because in game week 33, I'm going to be free hitting, and in game week 34/35, could see the wild card come out into a bench boost into 36. So my thought process is, who do I think is going to get points in game week 31 and 32? And I'm seeing a lot of people sort of deciding whether they're going to bring in Cancelo or Reece James. And I've got the luxury of already having Cancelo. So that's my thought process at the moment. And, looking ahead, Pookie has got a decent game against Brighton. I wouldn't say it's the best fixture because it's away from home, but then he's obviously got a good fixture against Burnley as well. We're all talking about how Burnley have a good fixture coming up in Norwich, but Norwich have improved defensively, in my opinion. So in my head, I'm leaning towards that -4, but it's just, like I say, whether it's worth sort of bringing in Reece James. I sort of imagine that he should play at least one out of the next 2 fixtures, and if he does, I think I want him in my team.
Yeah, definitely. He's arguably, if not more so, dangerous than Trent if he's fit and playing full 90s in that system. So if you were choosing a Chelsea player, even attackers, I think I'd still choose Reece James because he's probably one of their best attackers as well. So I'll move on to my team then. It's not really going to change, I don't think, much from what you see on screen. So like Ben said, I probably will start Ramsdale in goal. If he plays like 15 minutes, I would be very, very sad off the bench. So I think it's a no-brainer, really. I'd prefer him against Palace than Sanchez against Norwich, because we've seen how bad Brighton are defensively recently. So we're playing a back 5, big at the back. He's worked quite a lot this season. I think striker spots are just not worth having, really. And if you've used your bench boost, I would strongly recommend just having Harry Kane and just having some 4.5 duds on your bench. My back 5 is going to be Robertson. Hopefully he starts. There could be some rotation, of course, with Tsimikas involved, but I hope he plays. Thiago Silva, again, hope he plays. Obviously, prone to rotation when there's big Champions League ties coming up. Cancelo, Burnley away, again, we could just see big rotations with these big teams, because obviously they've got a lot of competitions to fight for. And Burnley away is an ideal fixture to rest Cancelo when Kyle Walker is also suspended in the Champions League. So he can definitely play this game in the Premier League. Matt Doherty, Newcastle at home. Hoping for a bit more from him. I think since I brought him in, he hasn't really got an attack in return. So I'm hoping that he can get forward a bit more. Newcastle maybe not as good as they were when they just got taken with Eddie Howe. They obviously went on that run. I think Spurs have also picked up the pace a little bit, and they're sitting in 5th and I think 1 point maybe behind Arsenal, and Arsenal have a game in hand. So top 4 is still very much up for grabs for Spurs. Trent, obviously, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? If you have him, I'd recommend starting him. If he doesn't play, I don't think he comes on. And if he does play, you need him starting against Watford at home at Anfield. It's going to be a goal fest, in my opinion. Cornet, he's been there since the doubles of Burnley in the past. So hopefully he can be a bit more proactive. I think he's sort of gone off the boil a bit. The last 10 game weeks, I don't think he's had 1 return. But obviously with 2 doubles coming up, he's not someone who's on high priority to take out, because he's shown in the past that when he does return, he can return quite a few times. And he has returned against City before as well, I do believe, earlier in the season. Saka, man, what star boy. He's been returning all the time. Crystal Palace away is going to be tough, but if Arsenal score, it's usually going to come through him. He's been unreal this season. I expect him to probably be 7-8 million next season easily. Salah captain, not even thought about someone else. He's always going to be the captain. Watford at home, you can't really pick a much better fixture. Kulusevski, I've seen a lot of slander for Kulusevski in the TikTok and stuff like that. I thought he's been really good since he's come in for Spurs. Obviously, Son outscored him last week, but pretty much every week before that, Kulusevski's outscored Son. So I think for 6 million, you can't really turn your nose up. Newcastle at home again, very nice fixture. And then Harry Kane leads the line on his own. Newcastle at home, he's in very, very good form. Could be a captaincy option, but I just wouldn't take it off Salah. His EO will be a lot higher than Harry Kane's. And then on the bench, we've got Sanchez just in case Ramsdale doesn't play. Obviously, not a bad fixture with Norwich at home. Although we've said Norwich could score against Brighton, equally, it is Norwich. They do struggle to score goals. Brozier potentially to come on for Trent, maybe. Whether he gets enough minutes is, again, yet to be decided. Brozier's a bit of a minute problem. Like, if you're looking for a striker, I definitely wouldn't recommend Brozier just on that basis. He could easily be benched. And then we've got Joe Willock and Dennis to make up the numbers, which isn't too bad, really, for a bench at the moment. Obviously, I'll be looking to bench boost in 36 when we have that huge double game week. But yeah, that is how the team looks. Is there anything that you think that needs changing, Ben? Because for me, right now, I think I could probably survive without Reece James, hopefully, with Thiago Silva in there. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the defence is a very strong point in your team right now. The fact that you've got Robertson, even like if Trent doesn't play, that's probably an advantage to you. With the fact that you've got Robertson in there, so there's more gains to be had for you if Trent Alexander-Arnold don't play a part, which is crazy to say, really. So I think there's a case that you could say Reece James maybe, but there isn't a defender there that you'd get out to bring him in for on a -4 or even on a free transfer that might be worth it. And I don't think in your situation it's necessary. You've got less chips to play than me, so I think it's probably wiser to sort of roll the transfer in your situation. It's different strategies that me and Josh are going for right now, and I think we both making good cases as to why we're going to do what we're going to do. I'd say you're in a good spot. You got the Burnley coverage, you got the coverage of the double. You're looking pretty set and sorted.
Yeah, obviously, if you don't know already, check out our chip video that we did literally a couple of days ago. Ben's got his wildcard bench boost, a free hit left. I've only got my bench boost left. So very different strategies. We talked through it on that video if you want to hear more about that. But what we'll do now is get into some questions from you guys. So, let's go back into this and we'll see what you guys are saying in the comments. Let's have a look. First one here. Start 2, bench 1. Brozier, Pookie, or Bednarek. Who are you going for, Ben?
Start 2, bench 1. I would probably start Pookie based on what I've been saying today. I think honestly, I was surprised by his sort of underlying stats over the last 5 game weeks. Like, he's had some tough games, similar to Weghorst, but he's performed in them. Like, he's getting returns against the likes of Chelsea and that sort of thing. So I'd probably start Pookie, and the other guy I'd want to attack the game week. So I'd probably say Armando Broja.
Yeah, I think
even though he's rotation risk, I think I would, because I do think that like Leeds look a bit more rejuvenated under Jesse Marsch. So I'd have to say Broja.
I'd agree with your 2 picks too. Do I triple captain Salah coming from Foot Chaos? What's your thoughts there? Is there a better game week?
I would say there is a better game week. There is that slight possibility that Salah gets a little bit of rest in this game. And I do anticipate that he will probably come off around 60, 70 minutes for this game week. So I anticipate that game week 36, potentially, if you haven't used your triple captain, that's when Liverpool are most likely to have a double game week again. So I'd say then, if you haven't used the triple captaincy, is the best time to do it.
Yeah, definitely agree. Havertz and Pope, or Ramsdale and Ziyech. I think that's an easy one, really. Havertz and Pope right now.
Yeah.
Havertz is definitely the better choice over Ziyech, and Pope's got 5 games in his next 3 game weeks. I know some of them, like you said, against City, but it just sounds like save points to me. Do I take a -8? Rodriguez to Jimenez, Salah to Son, Sancho to Coutinho. I think it's weird how he's done the arrows, but I think it's Jimenez, the first player. Yeah, it's the first player that's coming in. So
I don't think it's going to be a game week where there's going to be a lot of hits. I think people are either going to roll their transfer or just use a free one to get in someone like Weghorst. So I'd probably say Jimenez to Rodriguez is a weird one. Like, I don't think Rodriguez is really the best sort of shout for a striker in in a Burnley team. I definitely look to have Salah in. I think Sancho is a good pick after this game week. I think they could sort of potentially struggle against Leicester, but next couple of game weeks after that, they have some fantastic fixtures coming up.
Yeah, for me personally, as a United fan, I just steer clear of pretty much all United assets for the next couple. I think we have Leicester, then Liverpool. So after that, then it gets a little bit better to go and grab them. Would you rather get KDB and Salah but no Kane, only Kulusevski as cover, or get Kane but no Salah? I would personally want De Bruyne and Salah. I think De Bruyne is a good option still to have. What's your thoughts?
Or if I had to pick two, probably the first one in that instance. But for me, I've got Salah and Kane, so it's worth bearing that in mind as well.
Yeah, me too. I've got Kane and Salah. I think they're the two premiums you need, and then you can cover for City. I was saying this on the TikTok live. A lot of people going for Havertz. I think like someone like Foden or Mahrez, if you know they're going to play in the Premier League most minutes, I'd much rather have a Man City midfielder than a Chelsea midfielder. In that regard, for me, Cucho is a good bench option on the wild card. I think you've thought about it, haven't you? And in your little 2-week striker punt.
Yeah, I thought about it, but for me, over the next couple of game weeks, they've got a tough one away at Liverpool, which I don't think he's going to get a return in. They've got a decent fixture after that. I think it's a good bench option for the wild card if you're going to bench boost. If you're not, then you're probably wasting the money and you're better off having a 4.6 sort of bench fodder in that case. Because I think spending as little as possible on the strikers is the best strategy at the moment.
I definitely agree. Malamir is asking thoughts on Mateta. He came up as probably one of my options in terms of those real cheap budget enabling strikers. I think he's a solid option. Obviously, not the best fixture this week, but he doesn't tend to get 90 minutes either. He's usually subbed around 60 to 70 with Mateta. Does start, though, it seems like he's the favoured striker at the minute, but we saw it before with, who is it? It weren't Benteke. It was Edouard. That was it. He was the favoured striker. I brought him in with Elise. Then he just didn't play. So it's really tough to tell with that Vieira lineup. But for me, I think he's a good option, but there are also other good options in those slim pickings of forwards. Matthew asks, I can afford any defender already, have Rudiger and Trent. What other premium should he go for? Cancelo, James, or Robertson?
Oh, that is a tough question, that. Like, Cancelo, James, or Robertson. I'd lean away from Cancelo just because I don't know whether he's going to play. Pep Roulette is usually quite severe after an international break and usually before a Champions League midweek, and there's both in this same game week. So that just screams to mass rotation from Pep Guardiola. So I'd probably be leaning towards Reece James or Andy Robertson. I would probably have to say long term, for the rest of the season, Robertson. Over the next couple of game weeks, Reece James. So it depends how long you want this player in for.
I think I'd agree. I think having a City defender, though, is going to be important. They're probably got the best fixtures out of all the big teams going on paper, of course, going towards the end of the season. Dion's asking, does he get Sancho in on the wild card? I think Sancho's too expensive to bring in. I don't see him outscoring the likes of Havertz, the likes of Foden or Mahrez, really. I think United, although they're pushing for top four, I think they'll probably let us down, let's be honest. I don't think I've owned a United asset and been happy this season. What's your thoughts, Ben?
I think he's a good 1 week punt for like game week 33, in all honesty, like when they play Norwich and Liverpool in that game week. But yeah, I'd say if you're on a wild card, I'd say make sure you put your team and set your team out to enable yourself to get a Sancho or Fernandes in pretty easily into a team for a week. Because I think a lot of people are going to want to jump on that sort of bandwagon in that game week 33.
I definitely agree. Dion's again asking, just going through Dion's questions at the minute. Start Ben White or Harvey Barnes. Obviously, Arsenal face Palace and Barnes faces United. Two tricky fixtures. Who would you choose?
It's a really tough one, that, because there's potential to make gains if Arsenal keep a clean sheet and there's no Ramsdale in goal. So I'd potentially steer towards Ben White just because there's potential to make gains there, and Arsenal have been playing really, really well at the moment. And I can see Palace sort of frustrating and sort of playing a little bit how they did at Man City, frustrating them and trying to hold out 0-0 as long as possible. I think we're going to see a similar strategy because Arsenal set up so similarly to how Manchester City set up. So I'd go Ben White because I think he's more likely he's going to keep a clean sheet than Barnes is to get a return.
Yeah, you got to bear in mind though, Barnes is facing Dalot or Wan-Bissaka, so there's always a chance if they might score. Just to throw that little one in there. Start Brozier or Bowen. I haven't really heard anything or seen anything about Bowen. Do you have any?
So Bowen's not going to be ready for this week. Yes, he's back in training, but Moyes confirmed that he's not going to be ready this week. It'll be over the next sort of week or two that he'll come back in. So I'd start Brozier over Bowen.
Definitely. Matthew's asking Cancelo, James or Robertson. We sort of answered this question earlier. For me, if I answer it, I'd probably go James if I had to pick one out of the three. I'll scroll down a bit more because I feel like I'm answering questions. Is St. Maximin a good option? This is an interesting one. Obviously, Newcastle a lot better than what they were at the start of the season. Would you be tempted by him? Have you considered him actually for your striker spot?
I have not. I have not. He's 6.8, so he's a little bit more expensive, in my opinion. I think for me, again, a consideration probably for a free hit in 33 to make, but I think he's just that little bit too much for a Newcastle team that's much improved, but still not sort of. There isn't a consistent talisman in that team that is going to get consistent goals for you.
Yeah, everyone other than Joe Willock, of course, returns for Newcastle, which is double decent. Kulusevski out for Ramsey or Martinelli out for Gordon. I'd probably go Martinelli. He's not fallen out of the team. He's had that red card, had an injury as well. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be too tempted to make either transfer, if I'm being honest. Like, if I had to make one, it would be Martinelli out for Gordon. I wouldn't transfer in Ramsey at this point. He'd be one that I'd be looking to sell in the next couple of weeks, given that they're sort of got a blank coming up as well.
Yeah, definitely. Start Brozier or Tierney. I think for me, that's got to be Tierney. Brozier's lack of minutes recently is a big red flag for him. And you couldn't say who's going to start up front for Southampton at the minute. They seem to rotate quite a bit under Hassan Hutel. So I think that's pretty. We've gone through all the questions. That's pretty good work from us. I might have skipped a couple out.
But yeah, guys, I basically want you to all give your opinion in the comments about my transfer plans for this week. Would you say it's better for me to transfer in Weghorst on a free transfer or to transfer in Reece James and Pukki on a -4? So type in Weghorst or Pukki, whichever one you prefer. I kind of want to see your guys' opinions on who I should bring in, really. Is it worth bringing in Reece James on a -4? Is his ceiling high enough to justify it? And do we think Pukki's going to score a goal over the next sort of couple of games? Or is it a Weghorst time? Is it time to bring him in with the Burnley team?
Interesting stuff. I'll go through this one quick. Martinelli or Marty to start. I would go Martinelli. I think United definitely scoring against Leicester this on Saturday. When's Ben wildcarding? 34 or 35, setting up for a bench boost in 36. He'll probably decide that closer to the time, I imagine. We're seeing Reece James and Pukki. Reece James and Pukki. Ben's transfer plans do the -4. I think you've got your answer, mate.
I think I have. I think it's very, very tempting. And I'll have to double check the sort of Norwich press conference, sort of what Dean Smith has said, just to double check.
Did you just hear what you said? Double check the Norwich press conference. What is FPL coming to?
yeah. Well, it is what it is. Like, see what Dean Smith's been saying. But yeah, like I do think he's not a bad option, and we know what Burnley are like sometimes. It's like, especially away from home, they can be not so good. And Norwich at home against Burnley, I think they'll be up for that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely have to see. We'll go through this last question from Felix, and then we'll call it a day. Havertz or Gray for Willock? I think there's not even a debate there, really, is there?
Yeah, I'd go Kai Havertz 100%. think he's got a good chance of scoring this game week. Yes, I've given him a bit of slander for not getting too many returns up to this point, but I think going forward, he's going to be a very, very good option.
Definitely. Right, so that will wrap things up for our game week preview today. I'll probably be live on TikTok just before the deadline tomorrow, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. That'll be over on TikTok. And yeah, that wraps things up then.
Yeah, it's been a crazy one. Who would have thought I could be jumping on the Pookie party in game week 31? It's been a good one. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, as per usual, I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you guys
later. Have a good game.